Welcome to Buckets Live. My name is Matt Moore. I am the senior NBA writer for the Action Network for our first Friday night episode of Best Bets in the Association. This is your daily NBA betting podcast from the Action Network. Make sure to follow Action Network on Twitter at Action Network HQ. Glad to have you guys along with us, whether you listen on the podcast version. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. Enjoy the first of many weekend episodes so you can, whether you're doing housework, running around, doing errands, whatever you're at on the weekend, or if you're working, a lot of us work on the weekends. Hope you guys are enjoying it, having a safe and happy weekend. This is your Best Bets episode for Saturday, February 21st in the association. We'll give you best bets on everything. And to do that, I've got with me Brandon Kravitz at BK Picks in the Action Network app. He's the host of The Favorites. You can catch him on the pre and post game show for the Orlando Magic. Brandon Kravitz, how you doing on Friday night, BK?
I am doing well. We are profitable as of right now on a Friday night. Just need the Lakers to come through with that -7. But from what I hear, you are on the other side. So somebody's getting a win here tonight. But all is good. Feeling good. Magic on a West Coast road swing right now. So it's a little sleep deprived. But this is the grind that we sign up for.
Also joining me is Michael Fiddle at Fiddle's Picks on Twitter. You can catch him every day. He does a show on Twitter breaking down every single game, talks about the line movement, talks about everywhere the market is at, why it's moved, professional betting, all of that kind of stuff. He's the maestro of the market. He is the closing line commander. It's Michael Fiddle. Fiddle, how you doing?
I am doing well, having a dominant night tonight, back-to-back winning nights since coming off the All-Star break. Got some good rest and relaxation, jumped right back into it, and no better way to do a pod on a Friday night as a great excuse not to make plans, because I don't know when the official age that you hit where you just prefer no plans and you're looking for excuses not to go out, but it's like, oh, I have actually work to do on a Friday night. I'll stay in. Yeah, willingly.
Excellent. All right. Let us know in the comments if you're watching youtube.com/the Action Network what your best bet of the Saturday slate is, and we'll hit it on there. Appreciate you guys being with us. Let's go ahead and talk. Well, I will just say this. We were having this conversation. I think it's actually kind of interesting about the tank. Everyone's talking about tanking, and we're not going to do the whole tanking conversation because good God, everyone's had like, all I did on Twitter was like, hey, the Jazz shouldn't start pulling guys. And I feel like I started it, and now like 2 weeks later, it's like everywhere. Everyone's got a tanking fix. Everyone's got a solution. I'm just kind of like, it'll be fine if we just don't pull players in the fourth quarter, just sit them like we always have. It'd be fine. But one thing that I think was really interesting, and I've talked about this on the show. So there's this trend that I've been using, which says that if you're 30% straight up winning percentage, and it's after game 40, and you're against a 70% or better team, you were at around, before last season, you were at around 63%. I just looked up ATS in the second half of the season. So it's like a good example of like, hey, the market's really still not able to account. The market overestimates how much you're tanking, except for, guess what? It's 9-13 ATS the last 2 seasons, including this one, and takes another L tonight when the Brooklyn Nets don't cover versus the Oklahoma City Thunder, despite the huge number. So to me, we got to talk about this because there's so many teams that have just flat out not given up. That's not accurate. Give up is like, oh, okay, fine. This is like giving away this season. This is actively like, take this game. We do not want it. There was no level that the Pacers were not going to play down to tonight to lose to the Wizards. Like, they were literally just like handing them the ball. It was like in Krusty the Clown in The Simpsons, where there's the Globetrotters and Krusty bets on the Generals and the Globetrotters are spinning the ball. And Krusty's like, he's just spinning the ball in front of you. Take it. Just take the ball. That's what it was like for me watching the Wizards versus the Pacers. That said, the market's tricky. I want to get your thoughts on this. BK, you said that you're just flat out trying to avoid betting on these teams in any regard, which takes out about a third of the league.
It does. But it was also, it kind of goes in line with one of my goals after the All-Star break. I felt like my overall betting card volume was too thick for most of the season, and it's something that I'm trying to curtail in my NFL and NBA betting, is being more selective and then betting at a larger amount. And I feel like that's where I have my most success, when I really get selective with the bets that I make. And rather than having a card with 7 games or 7 different bets, if you're adding totals and props in there, limiting that, where I'm really hyper focusing on closer to 3 or 4 on any given night. So it goes in line with what I'm trying to do anyway. So it's easy for me, if I'm going to lop games off of the sheet, to just look at teams that I have no idea how to handicap. Some of the things that I look at outside of what everybody that does this and tries to generate their own number does is you have a power rating. Then you're going to look at game factors like back-to-backs and rests advantages and disadvantages and things like that, injuries. But when you start getting into the load of the fringe players that you don't even know if they're going to be involved, how many minutes they're going to play, and then in the middle of the game, this is where it gets so tricky, Matt, is if you get guys that are playing too well and a team really wants to lose, well, that guy's going to get eliminated from the mix. So like Jarris Walker right now is almost playing too good for Indiana. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts to go away soon. So I just have no idea how to price that. And I'm trying to be very selective with how I'm pricing things, how big my card is. And it's just very easy to leave these games off, especially when they play each other. I think that's the key. It's not that I'll avoid all of these teams, period. It's when teams like Washington and Indiana play each other, I'm hands off on that.
Fiddle, I'm interested to get your thoughts on this. I do just kind of want to note that the Wizards they can't out tank these teams, which I think is pretty indicative of like they're not even good at tanking. But 16 wins, 17.5 was the first position I put in on, and I got another one at 20.5. Just need 5 more wins, Wizards. Just 5 more wins. Good 5 and 20, whatever, will get us home. If I somehow sneak out this win total bet, I will victory lap the shit out of it on this show and act like I knew it the whole time. Fiddle, what are your thoughts on like how to handle this in the market?
So as I speak to it, Matt, do me a favor. Can you look up for that 70-30 trend, what the money line win percentage is? Because I wonder if there's almost a inverse correlation where the money line can't really equal to a typical spread price, because we see teams be competitive in the first half and then throw the towel in, as Brandon's alluding to, just remove players that are playing too well, and then it goes the other way and they ultimately lose, but maybe they cover. So I would wonder how the money line stacks up to like maybe what average odds are, and see what the cover rate is for money lines and outright wins. But I will say this, I actually go the opposite way of Brandon, where like I'm always trying to get more volume. Like in my opinion, being a market person, the more volume you have, you're decreasing the variance. So if you have a lot of positions, I'd rather have 17 positions that are all average bet size than 3 or 4 big ones, because you are more susceptible to variance. I was on Wizards tonight. I was on Wizards and gave it out on buckets last time. So I was on Wizards for both of these games against the Pacers. I was on the Nets and the OKC under today. So in these tanking games, I've been fine. Like a baseline somewhat rule is to be more comfortable backing the home team in those situations, because you do less egregious tanking in front of your fans. But also the Wizards said like Trae Young might come back next week and he's going to be reevaluated next week. So I thought that was a sign that they're not overly tanking. Like they said they're going to give us a medical update on Trae next week. And so given what the Pacers have done, which is like bury everybody, where they're listing Siakam as out because he played 18 minutes in the All-Star game, like literally on the injury report, that's what it said. And they're just at Zubac, like they might as well told him just stay in LA for the rest of the year. I actually thought it was, the younger players probably a little bit more skilled on Washington. You have more emphasis on development of those players. Like the bottom of the rotation is pure bottom of the barrel for the Indiana Pacers right now. So I actually have found some good spots to buy into some of these tanking situations, and still think there can be value found if you study them appropriately and still play it from a market perspective, because the market is going to reflect the sharpest bettors who have a history of a track record of being correct, and they'll figure out these situations. So general market direction is still going to be just as efficient, I would say, even in tanking situations. So as long as I could still get ahead of the number, I'll take as many bets as I can get down on those good numbers. The reason why I ask money line versus spread and what the cover rate is potentially for money lines, Matt. 2 seasons ago, when the Mavericks were tanking for Derek Lively, and they were, was it 3 seasons ago, when they were like intentionally trying not to win towards the end of the year, one of my biggest bets of my entire life was on the Thunder money line last game of the season, because the Thunder were playing for like a 1 or a 2 seed. I forget what seed it was, but they needed the win to get the seeding, and the Mavericks needed the loss to avoid the play-in and get out of the situation. So I was like, there is no money line price that could properly correlate to what a spread is. And like the spread came out at like 10.5, 11.5, and the money line was minus 550. And I was like, this money line should be minus 2,000, because the Mavericks have shown their hand. They don't want to win. Like the Thunder do, because they would have gotten them on the other side of the bracket as Denver. And so it was just like, this is a no-brainer. And that was like one of my biggest bets of my life. Thunder were up 49 at halftime of that game. It was the biggest risk-free bridge jumper on a heavy juice line you could possibly imagine. So maybe it's a situation where you play into money line situations, and don't be scared to take some juice on a early favorite, on a team that actually wants to win versus a team that is clearly tanking.
I'll circle back with you next week. I don't have labs up, but Bet Labs, which is available through the Action Network Pro program. I'm using Killer right now, and Killer doesn't have, killersports.com doesn't have the prices up. I can't tell you full game those teams last 2 seasons that are 30% or lower versus 70% or higher are 3-19 for 14% winning percentage. One interesting trend here, kind of note, just because I was looking at it. So they're equally bad in the first quarter, 2-17-3 straight up. They're equally bad in the first quarter. They're not bad, but they're better against the spread in the first quarter, 10-11-1. But here's like a really interesting number. They're 15-7 to the under in first quarters for these tanking matchups, where it's like the other team just absolutely locks them down. Either that or they don't. I'll have to look and see if it's them scoring the opponent. It's kind of an interesting one to keep in mind.
Maybe it's because the starting lineups are so egregiously bad, and then you're going against, there's just a vast talent disparity out there, and the starting lineups are just putrid. I before we get into best bets, I have one question for you guys. I have been very much a college team could never beat an NBA team, but now with NIL and players choosing to stay in college because some of them can make more money by staying in college if they're getting paid a lot and they're good college players, and it's not worth it to come and be like a mid to late second round pick or potentially undrafted. And so some of them are choosing to stay in college, and younger players are coming into the league more pro ready than ever. And we have some of the most egregious tanking we've ever seen. Is it possible that we revisit the could it NCAA team, like with the Wizards with Jameer Watkins and Sharif Cooper and Anthony Gill and Will Riley? Would they win the NCAA March Madness easily? Would they just fly through it, or would they actually have some tough competition now?
What do you think,
I still think they'd fly through it.
Didn't that guy, James Najee, go back to Baylor? He was drafted the first pick of the second round last year, and he reclassified to go back to Baylor because he hasn't technically played an NBA game. We're getting G Leaguers going back to college to grab a bag.
There's still, like, if we're thinking about this from this was a heavy conversation last year in the playoffs, the weak link era in the NBA. There are a number of guys on any college basketball roster that you could absolutely pick on that will never sniff an NBA court, and still, even with a bad NBA roster, everybody that's on that floor is an NBA player. And I think that perhaps the spread would be shorter than it's been in the past, but I still think the bad NBA team would fly through the tournament.
Yeah, I agree. The biggest thing is like, one of the biggest components of this is, what do college players do with their time? Right? Like they practice and like they'll work out. If you were in a pro strength and training development program, Like it's a 2 hours with a professional trainer with the best facilities and the best like again, I don't think anybody's doing anything illegal, just like they are providing you with dietary supplements to encourage muscle growth and recovery and performance. Like you are a finely tuned machine. The physicality is just like beyond. Like you just can't match. So that's kind of my thought on that. So
I would love to see the graphic though when the Wizards play the Kentucky Wildcats that Kentucky or Washington has not scored in the last 2 minutes and 59 seconds.
Yeah, that would be very.
Get that graphic across the CBS screen.
Would be very funny. Okay. Let's do best bets for Saturday, our first Saturday card of buckets for the season. Let's start with Michael Fiddle. Let's go to your 3-star play of the night, Fiddle.
So my 3-star play on the night is going to be the Spurs and the Kings over 226.5 was where I played it. I'm trying to find best number in market. 227.5 available at DraftKings. Definitely still a play for me. There is 226.5 available in the market still. This is a spot where I have modeled at 229 and market ratings for totals would even put it higher. I don't really trust market ratings for totals or use it, but I model this at 229. We're seeing the 226.5s all be bet towards the over. And one thing I've noticed with the Kings, the Kangs, as bad as they are right now, with 15, 16 straight losses. Doug Christie, when you listen to him in post-game press conference, the only thing he actually cares about is guys who will play hard. Like he is just so focused on effort. And so I think that can be often translated into pace. And the Spurs offense right now is just blistering and hitting on all cylinders, and they are running and spacing and playing fast as well. So I think this is a clear over spot, and I think we might see this close 1.5 higher than this 227.5.
No argument for me here. The ability for the guards for the Spurs to get downhill. I'm still kind of like perplexed a little bit by San Antonio. Like I'm trying to get a handle. I have to sit down and just like watch a bunch of tape this weekend. Like I feel like I could talk to you about specific player habits, and I can give you the overview of who they are statistically. Like not just the highlights. I can give you some of the deep dive stuff, but I just don't know really how it all works together, because like I wind up being like, so are they a great shooting team? No, they're 12th. Do they dominate on the glass? No, they're 15th. Okay, so but they must be like incredible in other areas. Not really. No, they're just like pretty good. Do they hit a bunch of threes? Are they super efficient? No, 15th in rate, 23rd in percentage. Just pretty good. Okay, are they killer at the rim? They shoot a lot, 7th. They make all of them? No, 13th. They just kill you in the mid-range. That's like the one outlier. They are the 4th best team from mid-range this season. That said, like against this Kings team, I just like it's up and down. Like you get to play pickup, and the Spurs have the guards to absolutely torch them and annihilate them and do bad things to them. So I can't in any way get to an under here on this play on Spurs Kings over 227.5. I am staying away from it because I do make this a half point under. I have it like right at the number. So I will not join you on it, but I can't argue with it at all. BK, you got anything on this one?
Well, I just watched my Orlando Magic drop 131 points on Sacramento, so hard for me to push back on that because this Kings team has zero lick of defense. So my only concern would be their offense falling off of a cliff, and they seem to really like Maxime Reynaud. I don't know how he scores around Wemby. So if he's not giving you nearly 20 points, maybe you need to bank on a DeMar DeRozan revenge spot kind of thing. But I worry about the Kings, but the San Antonio should absolutely get theirs. And looking at it from a spread perspective, and this one's up to 17, I could only look the way of San Antonio as well, even with this big number.
I feel very bad for the Kings. Actually, here's the thing. I actually really like a lot of the guys that they're playing now. They have basically announced absolutely everyone. I said that the Wizards and Pacers were tanking tonight, and somebody replied to me on Twitter and said, in response to this news, the Kings have forced another player to undergo season-ending surgery, which I was very amused by. I feel bad for Kings fans, but this is tremendous content. I also think that I actually like a lot of it. I like Neek Clifford. I like Cardell. I like a lot of the guys that they're playing right now in the rotation. I think they've got skills. They just don't know how to play together, and they're doing what they have to do right now in a very vicious tank war. So I would like them to get a win just to like break the streak. I just don't like it when teams are suffering with this kind of ignominy. But
what a word!
At the same time, I'm not going to bet on it happening. So we'll go ahead and face that. Yeah, I'm a man of 1,000.
And the fact that Malik Monk only played 20 minutes the other night as well. You would like him to be more involved if you're in an over.
Why did
Doug Christie can't stand him?
He's another guy that I'm just like, why didn't you trade him, man? Like, I understand. It's like, well, nobody wanted him. Okay, somebody would have
thrown the Kuminga deal if it was floating out there. I don't know.
I know, but the Warriors did. I mean, I heard last fall the Warriors were like, we do not want Malik Monk, and I was like, a team that had Buddy Hield was like, no thanks. I was like, oof. All right, Brandon Kravitz, what's your 3-star play of the night?
All right, plug your nose. Let's go with the. Here I go, telling you not to bet teams that are tanking, but they're
not tanking.
I mean, technically they're not. Let's go with the Pelicans +4, 4.5. We're up for a minute, but you can still get some 4s that are out there. This one's starting to dip down to 3.5 in most books. Pretty gross here, but we got to do what we got to do. Philly has been awful recently. Joel Embiid is out again for this one. I don't see them getting any better here. They've lost 4 of their last 5. The last 3 have been by double digits, and now they go on the road laying 4.5. Excuse me. Second night of a back-to-back for the Pelicans, but unless they bench Zion, I think that matters significantly less here. When I talk about things like game factors, and Fiddle and I have joked about that before because that's a gambler reference if you read the Billy Walters book. But one of the things that I look at out of the All-Star break or at the beginning of the NBA season is that I decrease the impact of a back-to-back. These guys are rested. They had 8 days off. A back-to-back right now is not a back-to-back a couple of weeks ago. Far less taxing on the body. So if I'm not carrying the same weight there, I cannot get to this number, not even close. The Pelicans got embarrassed tonight as well. No travel for them, so nice bounce-back opportunity against the Sixers team that looks like they're in free fall right now.
So I took the Pelicans tonight, and I regretted it. I was like, oh, man, why did I try to get in front of the Bucks here? Why did I get in front of the Cam Thomas train? Why did I do this? I show value on this number again. Look, the Pelicans have been good at home this year. They've been good. Another one in your favor. The Pelicans this season, when they're on rest disadvantage, are 8-4 ATS. They've been good when they're in a back-to-back spot like this. The Sixers are also a good against the spread team. Like they've outperformed the market. And the Pelicans have been a team that have actually done really well against those types of teams. I like looking at those systems because I'm trying to identify, all right, this team is ahead of the market. Who are the teams that outperform against those types of teams that they're so far ahead? Like the market is so behind on them that even against those other teams, they've got an advantage. Pelicans have been really good in that category as well this season. It's tailed off a little bit as of late. And they've just been they are trying, they are competitive, and the Sixers have a whole bunch of holes in their system. What's Embiid's status here?
He's out.
Okay. So Tony Jones, who covers them for The Athletic, was talking about how early in the season they played really well with him. And I really built like an index on that of like, I liked how they played and they were playing with pace and like the 3-guard lineups and da-da-da-da-da. As the season has gone on, that has faded. And now they are back to looking really lost without Embiid. So, God, am I going to do this again? Yeah, I'm going to tell you, I'm back in this one. I'm taking the Pelicans. I'm with you. We both go down together, Brandon Kravitz, on this ship. So, okay.
Fly, Pelicans, fly.
Kravitz, do you have a lean on this game? What's the market doing?
For this one, it's definitely been Pelicans. I wanted to grab Pelicans at this number too, but I was also on them tonight, and I was like, the asymmetric risk against me by hitting it while they were playing, and I'm thinking like, right when I click the number, Zion's gonna stub his toe really badly. Or like right when we click the right when I click it, Bobby Portis is going to give the eyes to somebody. A brawl's going to start. There's going to be suspensions. Then once the game ended, yeah, it was definitely Pelicans or nothing. Zion is going to play. He's played all 3 back-to-backs since the start of the new year. He's played 30 or more minutes in all of those back-to-backs as well. Obviously, Pelicans have 0 incentive to tank, so I do think Zion's definitely going to go. I definitely think it's the right side. I would be joining Pelicans or nothing at this point too, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and that hook that is no longer out there anywhere that I'm scouring, because I would love to add to this position, but that went away the moment the game ended because of exactly what Fiddle said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're waiting for it. I will say on the Embiid front, Drew Hanlon just did an awesome interview with Kevin O'Connor, and he talked about training Embiid and Embiid's health stuff, and it was a really fascinating listen. So if anyone's interested in that stuff, I would recommend listening to that as well.
I once heard Drew Hanlon speak at a conference, and Kelly Oubre went to him and said, I think if I'm going to get paid, I'm going to have to be better at defense. Can we work on defense? And Hanlon said, why? Because he was like, the only guys that get paid are offensive players. And I just thought that was really funny.
He did talk about how he really doesn't train anybody defensively. And then he also, what I thought was very interesting, he took blame for Maxey not being prepared for a number 1 role last year. Yeah. And he only worked with Maxey to be a number 2 off of Embiid. And then when Embiid went down, he was like, Maxey was good, but could have been better. He's like, this year we worked on Maxey being a number 1 option. And you could see it's paying off.
Yeah, he does have a really good track record. Jason Tatum, another guy, one of his guys. Bradley Beal is another one of his guys. St. Louis guys in that group. Okay, mine. I'm rolling with the Knicks. We're going to go ahead and drop Knicks minus 3.5 here. I think that's still in the market. Okay. Thank you, producer David Payne. Just as if Joe Dolera was here. I've got it all set up here for this spot. So as kind of like a palette, like, look, I'm always going to start with the model. That's where I'm going to start with on all these numbers is I'm going to start with where do I have this projected at. I make this 5.5, and that sounds a little bit closer to what I think it should be. I do not think that Houston is as good as the record indicates. And I think that if we look at market expectation, the market has been higher on Houston than it needed to be all year, but Houston keeps winning. So they can't necessarily, I don't think, drop it appropriately. The market rating on this one via Unpredictable with a standard half court or home court adjustment is 2.9. That's where I've got it at based off of those numbers. For the market, it's 2.9. I make it 5.5. On in-season numbers with no priors, I make it 8 because the Knicks have actually looked pretty good this year. Houston in particular, look, man, I know that they got that win versus the Hornets the other night. That was a good win. They got a win versus the Clippers. They split that set with them. That was a good win. Since Steven Adams left, like, their offense has having a really hard time. Like, this offense is rough, and the Knicks have a really high level offense, and the Knicks do have Mitch Robinson to hit you on the offensive glass, and the Knicks do have enough weapons to be able to compensate for all this. So from a basketball perspective, I love it because now it's like Alperen Şengün versus a double big lineup instead of being able to use theirs because they don't really want to go to Şengün, Capella that much. They've got the wings like OG Anunoby, who's got experience guarding Kevin Durant, knows how to do that, along with Bridges. Jose Alvarado obviously is giving them a huge bump off of the bench. I think that's significant when we look at how this has been. And then the other one that I will kind of point to is there's a couple of systems and trends plays that I wanted to note here. So the Knicks this season are 12-11, not great, but 52% when they're at home off of a loss, ATS. They've been really good when they're at a pace advantage, which they're faster at. They've been really good in that spot. The Knicks have been a really good play this season against bad ATS teams, and the Rockets are a bad ATS team because I kind of mentioned the market is still kind of refusing to downgrade them to a certain degree. The Knicks are 16-10 ATS, 62% this season against teams that are under 500 ATS. So there's kind of an advantage here for the Knicks. Now, look, Houston, I have a really hard time because, you know, everyone's like the chemistry and not just I was talking about this for weeks before the KD files came out, right? I don't even really care about that. I've just been like, look, I don't think Ime Udoka trusts Alperen Sengun or Reed Shepherd. I don't think he likes Alperen Sengun or Reed Shepherd. I don't think Kevin Durant has a high level of confidence in his teammates. I think it shows. They do not have any sort of interaction. They don't know how to play together, but they keep winning games. They're really talented. They play good defense and they keep winning games. Like the Rockets I keep trying to figure out if I'm underrating the Rockets' chances in the West, where it's like, yeah, no, they don't really like each other, know what they're doing, but they keep winning. So what do they just like outmuscle some teams and make a run? Entirely possible. But in this spot with the Knicks at home, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take them. I'm going to lay in the wood with the Knicks here. Fiddle, what do you think about that one?
I agree. I did it myself. I have it at 4.4, so I agree on all accounts. The one thing that scares me is coming off of a physical matchup against the Pistons and having another physical matchup against the Rockets. I think that adds to the bad spot for the Knicks, but the numbers just say take the Knicks, and so does the market. Early signals say take the Knicks. So yeah, I took the Knicks early. I took the over in this game too, but I think we could save that one. That'll be my 2-star.
BK, any thoughts on Eel?
I would think that most nights the market loves the New York Knicks, but I'm with you guys on this. I haven't fired on it yet, but I'm probably going to get there. This Rockets team is not, clearly they're not as good rebounding the basketball without Steven Adams. They're still one of the best teams in the NBA in that regard. I would venture to guess that they really struggle against teams that are also where that's one of their superpowers, where they can't muscle teams in the paint and get those easy offensive rebounds and things like that. And New York is certainly not a team that you can bully in terms of rebounding. So I'm looking at that as one of the other caps that I have for my 1-star play. But to me, it would absolutely be Knicks or nothing.
Yeah, Rockets 31-23, or I'm sorry, 23-31 this season, just 43% ATS on the season. Let's go back to Fiddle and get his 2-star and his 1-star. You can get the caps for both. Mike, let's go ahead and give me your 2-star play.
2 stars right in this Knicks Rockets game. I like the over. It's now at 216.5. So I would really like half unit it. I wouldn't play it too big. But I do like this over. Clearly, market has agreed with it. It's gone up 3 points since the open at 213.5, 214.5. All got taken out. They jumped straight to 216.5. The Knicks coming off that Pistons game was just horrible shooting. And I really think the shot selection was there. I thought the pace was there. And so I'm looking at both of these teams and I'm like, we're having deflated recent totals. Because Rockets went up against the Charlotte Hornets defense, which has actually been excellent during their run. Then they played against the Clippers in their prior 2 games, and the Clippers are the slowest team on earth. And then the Knicks played against the Pistons, and they just missed a ton of shots. And prior to that, we're playing without OG Anunoby. So I think we're seeing that the recents that went into pricing this line early were definitely a bit out of whack. And so this is clearly an over spot to me. At current number, I might even split it up between playing like a half unit on the game total over and then maybe like a quarter unit on the first quarter over. I assume it's going to come out around like 54.5, 55.5. I would like both of those angles as well. I think this game is going to start quick, and I think there's going to be a lot of pace. It's also like an 8:30 game, 8:30 Eastern. I'm terrified of the overs on early start games, and so now that we're getting into the weekend games without football going on, we are going to get some earlier start times. That's not a factor here. This is an 8:30 Eastern game.
Yeah. By the way, I'll be on Warriors this weekend versus the Nuggets. Nuggets have a road matinee game versus Golden State. That's going to be at like 1 o'clock, which means they'll get to the arena at like 11 Mountain Time. It's too early for their clocks. They never do well in that spot. As far as this one goes, Knicks this season, when they were facing a below average defensive rebound team, which surprisingly, as good as the Rockets have been on the offensive glass for the season when they had Adams, they've actually still been not good on the defensive glass. The over against those teams is 20-15. Now, I forgot to mention this because it doesn't fit my narrative, so why would I mention it? But I will go ahead and note it. This is weird. So Fiddle, like offensive rebounds are maybe the number one thing I want to kind of like look at with the Knicks. It's such a huge matchup advantage, right? When they face a below average defensive rebounding team, they're actually 14-21 ATS this season, 40%. Could just be like noise. Like all these trends can be noise. It's small sample. I get it. It's just like an interesting note of I am always perplexed when there are these things that we ascribe as a logical deduction of a matchup advantage, and the market is like, no, it's actually the opposite. That's how much it's not that. It's actually the opposite. Just makes me a little bit nervous. But I'm still going to ride with the Knicks tomorrow. You like the Magic plus 2.5 here as well for your 1-star.
Yeah, Magic plus 2.5. It's a 1-star play. I know how good Phoenix is at home, and so going against them, and also Grayson Allen's questionable on the injury report, and I do think he's worth half a point, maybe slightly more than that ATS. So whatever happens there on the injury report is going to be a driver of final price. Obviously, Dylan Brooks is back in. Devin Booker is back out. They're doing musical chairs with those two recently. I'd rather be fading the Magic with Brooks in and Booker out. But this one is just very, very simple for me. It was market rating 1.6, model 1.6, first moves in market 2.5s down to 2s. There's still a bunch of 2.5s available, but just bringing those three factors together, that's just constantly what I'm looking for. Model, market, and market ratings all being aligned. And so this was one of those spots. Don't love it, but it'll be a 1-star, and it was a play for me.
All right, we'll talk a little bit this one in a minute because I've got a head-to-head with Fiddle, which I never like to do. BK, what are your 2 and your 1-stars?
Yes, I get to play special guest referee. I'm very excited about this. I'm going to go with the under in that Magic Suns game, 220.5. This game has rock fight written all over it. I love the fact that we are getting a Magic team here that just set a franchise record for made threes in a game, 27. One of the worst three-point shooting teams in the NBA just set their franchise record. Go figure. And we all know the redheaded stepchild of progress is her ugly sister named Regression. And I fear that this one's going to hit the Magic pretty hard, coupled with the fact that you've got Phoenix top-tier defense on their home floor. That's why they've been so good when they play in Phoenix. Only the Rockets hit the under at a higher rate when playing on their home court than the Phoenix Suns, 68% to the under in the Valley of the Sun. So both teams bottom half of the league in pace, and then the cherry on top is that Devin Booker news. So less scoring for Phoenix as well, under 220.5. You want me to go ahead and do the 1-star as well?
Yeah, give me the 1-star prop.
Alperen Sengun, back to that Rockets Knicks game, under 26.5 points plus rebounds. This has been a rough month plus for him relative to his standard. Look at this last game, 13 points, 2 rebounds. How does he get 2 rebounds in a game? Makes no sense. He just hasn't really been the same, and he dealt with the ankle injury earlier in the season. I don't know if that's still lingering, but when you look at him against upper echelon competition since the ankle sprain, he has been swallowed whole by some of these teams. Charlotte twice in the past 2 weeks, held in check against Boston, 19 points, 1 rebound against Detroit in the middle of January. There's a little bit of cherry picking going on with this, but I think it's important to look at that relevant competition, the relative competition, especially when you consider that he's going up against Karl Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson, top 5 rebounding team in the league. So I'm looking under for him as well. Alperen Sengun under 26.5 points plus boards.
All right. For mine, we'll flip over to mine. My 2-star is going to be Suns on the other side. And they are 2-5 in their last 7 in the month of February. They're 2-5 ATS and straight up. So I'm wondering if I'm just like behind on this and need to kind of capture. They didn't trigger any of my like triggers to do a downgrade on power rating. Orlando without Franz Wagner, like maybe Paolo Banchero is getting it together. I want to trust the larger sample, which is that Phoenix has been good at home. Phoenix has been good in these types of situations. Phoenix is in a spot where they kind of need to get right. I do have some trends for you. After a team makes 20 plus threes, because the Magic made 27, you told me the other day, Brandon Kravitz, 27?
27, franchise record.
After doing that, fading that team, if you go against that team, you are 129, 88, and 3. That's a bigger sample than most of the trends I give out because those are usually season samples. That's since 2014-15. is in that span of time, you're 59% ATS by fading the teams after they make 20 or more threes. By the way, in relation to the under for BK, the under is 124, 91, and 4 in those games, a solid 58% in those games as well, because it does kind of regress. Like, you have a hot shooting game and it doesn't carry over, and you're used to like that. I do think there's a rhythm component that winds up mattering in those. One of the the matchups that I actually really like in terms of the trends is that Jordan Ott has been really great on short spread in these tight games where it's expected to be close. Like, they're good overall. This is a carryover from their good against the spread because their power rating was so low in preseason. By the way, I gave out Phoenix over on buckets as a best bet for win totals. But Jordan Ott this season, when the line's inside of 4 points either way, if it's just inside of a possession, Jordan Ott is 16-8 this season, 67%. So he's been really good in games where it's exposed to be kind of close. Even without Booker, I just kind of think I can't get to this number. I have Suns -5. That seems right to me. Orlando is like, the Suns are still a good basketball team without Devin Booker. The Magic have not been a good basketball team. I don't know if there's like been maybe 3 total weeks spread out across the last 4 months that I would say, yes, the Magic have been a good team that week. And overall, they've just been wildly unimpressive. They haven't been good under Jamal Mosley on the road historically. So I will go ahead and I will lay the number with the Suns and go up against Fiddle here. I don't love it, but I'm going to go ahead and trust Phoenix to get that win. I'm also going to back the Knicks Rockets over 214.5. These are 2 top 10 teams in over rate in their respective home road splits. I make it 5 points over. So I'll be on the over there as well. Okay. I am definitely checking out the chat, by the way. We are checking it out. If you guys have bets that you want to give out, you guys can go ahead and drop them in at any time. Glad to see you guys hanging out with us on a Friday night. That will do it for buckets. We will be back on Sunday night for Future Jays. Jim Turvey returns. Joe Dolera will be with you at our usual time, 11 o'clock Eastern on Sunday. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy the picks. We'll see you guys again next time. Oh, let's take a look at the bets. I want to go over the bets one more time. BK's got Pelicans +4.5, Magic Suns under 220, Şengün under 26.5 PR, Fiddle like Spurs Kings over 227.5, Knicks Rockets over 214.5, and the Magic +2.5. I like Knicks -3.5. I'll take the Suns wherever it's at in the market. If it's 1.5, 2.5, whatever, I'll take it. As long as it's anything below 4, I'm good. And Knicks Rockets over 214.5 with Fiddle. I'm with him on that one. And I'm going to add the play that BK put in on the Pelicans. God help me. Let's go back to the well with the New Orleans Pelicans. I hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you guys again next time. Thanks for joining us. Till next time, let's get buckets.